Hi, this is Melanie from Hook to the Left, and today you are going to learn 23 non-yarny things about me. So let's go ahead and get started. Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining me here today. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much. I'm so appreciative that you found me. If you like my video or like things all yarny and crochet, then go ahead and go down below and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell so that you're reminded each time I come out with a brand new video. If you are returning, I love you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming back to check out something new about me. So a little while ago, in fact, it was how long ago? It was about 2 months ago. Kim from Affordably Crafty, which I will link her channel, one of these top corners, but I will link her channel up above. I'll also link it down below. But Kim with Affordably Crafty tagged me in a challenge to create a video of 23 non-yarny things about me. So I am going to challenge Amber with Ambie, or Ambie, that's what I love to call her. I will link her channel down below and up above, but I would challenge her to answer these questions if she has not yet. I would also love to challenge Ashley if she has not yet. So I will link her channel up above and down below as well. And who is the third person that I should challenge? I'm going to go ahead and challenge Reggie with J Hooked Crochet. So I will link her channel up above and down below. Now all three of these, they may have already created one, and if that's the case, then go and find that wonderful video that has tons of great information. And I'm going to do the same because I want to know more about each of these people. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the list. Number one, and you probably already know this, but I am left-handed. I'm a true lefty. So I crochet with my left-handed. I do almost everything with my left hand. Now, as with most left-handed people, we get very used to learning how to do things with your right hand. So I can use right-handed scissors because we live in a right-handed world. So, but I am naturally a left-handed person. This actually is a trait that kind of runs in my family. My aunt is left-handed. My uncle was left-handed. They did force him to become right-handed in school. He's a little bit old. He's a couple years older than my aunt. My cousin is left-handed. My late husband was also left-handed. So I'm surrounded by lefties. My daughter is, alas, not left-handed. We tried to throw her back, but they said, nope, she's yours. You keep her even if she is right-handed. So, yeah, we do have a right-handed child, but we were both lefty. So, number two, I work in the pest control industry, and I'm going on right at 10 years of working in the pest control industry. Basically, I work in customer service. It's the administrative part of pest control is what I do, and I do a lot of the scheduling and stuff like that. And number three, I live in the beautiful Smoky Mountains of North Carolina. I love where I live. Love it. I am in a valley in the middle of the mountains. I live probably about an hour away from Tennessee, an hour to 2 hours away from Tennessee. Hour as a crow flies, let's put it that way. I live about 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away from Virginia. I live about an hour away from South Carolina, and I live about 30 minutes away from Georgia. So I'm over in the part of North Carolina that's very close to all the other states. And yeah, so that is where I live. I love it. I love the weather. Although we had some really late winter weather this year, didn't we? I think that was the case for everybody though. But I love the weather. I love the views. I go driving to the grocery store and I get some amazing views, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I am a mountain girl through and through. I am not a beach girl. I am a mountain girl. And that was a bonus thing to learn about me. Number four, I live with a mini zoo for most people. So we currently have 3 dogs and 4 cats, and I will post some pictures up here of them as I name them off. So our first dog, but our newest dog, is Sammy. So she is one that my late husband, he got while he was volunteering at the animal shelter. He only volunteered there for about a month, and we ended up with 2 new animals, so that had to quit. That had to stop because we couldn't keep bringing in animals. Sammy was is our newest dog. She is such a sweet girl. She loves to snuggle. She leans into you. Just is one of her being around her people is her most favorite thing in the world. She is also our troublemaker. When we leave the house, she will keep a box of ramen noodles there. That girl tore into him. If there is a bag of chips low enough, she will tear into it. If a cat knocks something in the floor, she will tear into it. She has gotten onto the counter to get the cat food that the cat did not finish eating, because we feed them at a certain time each day. Did not finish eating right away. Pulled it down to the floor and finished it for them. So she does get into some trouble. Our next dog is Midna. We've had her for a few years now. We've had her since she was a puppy. She does have some allergies for skin issues. She ends up with skin issues really through the summer, and then sometimes she recovers in the winter. This winter she did not recover well. She is starting to recover her fur, but she does lose a lot of her fur, and we lovingly refer to her as a zombie dog sometimes because she loses her fur. She doesn't have mange. She just has an allergy, and we try to manage it as best we can, but unfortunately it does flare up once a year. And sometimes it's for almost the whole year, and sometimes it's just for a couple months, so you never know. And then we have my old boy, Killer. He is a silky terrier. He is all attitude. He does have little man syndrome. He is so old now that he does not tell us when he has to go to the bathroom. He just goes wherever he is. He don't care. He knows we'll clean it up. So I probably don't have too much time left with him. He is about 13 years old. But he's a terrier, and silky terriers are very hardy dogs. He will probably be the one and only terrier that I ever own. Only because I have realized the attitude of a terrier is too much like my attitude, and I don't need that in a dog. Thank you very much. The first of our cats, the one that we've had the longest, is Gremlin, aka Kitty Cat, aka Kit Kat. He is our beautiful gray and white tuxedo boy. He is so handsome. We love to think of him as a British whenever we give him a voice. In our head, he sounds like Lucifer from the TV show Lucifer. But yeah, and that's the way that we picture him. He's absolutely gorgeous. Our next cat that we've had the longest is our orange tabby cat. We call him Piglet, aka Itty Bitty, aka It Bit. That's because he was such a kid, the cutest little kitten. He was actually from a feral colony that lives here near us, and we took him in. We were able to capture him, thank goodness that we did, because he had a pretty bad ear infection, which we took him to the vet for. But now he has this permanent tilt, and he has this, and I don't know if it's because of the ear infection, but he has this permanent kitten voice. So he's just in our hearts. While he is probably our heaviest cat, he is always going to be Itty Bitty or It Bit. So we absolutely adore him. He's our sweetest boy, our most submissive cat, and he puts up with so much crap from the next one that I'm going to tell you about. But yeah, so that's our Itty Bitty. Oh, and he has so much personality. Anyway, so the next kitty that we have, this is the second bring home animal that my husband brought home when he was volunteering, which is why he had to quit volunteering, because that just wasn't working out. We were getting too many animals. Is this little kitty cat who I believe is a Maine Coon mix based on the coloring and the way that his fur is, but he is not a big cat by any stretch of the imagination. At this time, he is our smallest cat. If he does have Maine Coon in him, it is likely he's going to continue to grow a little bit for the next couple of years. But he's going on about 2 years now, maybe 1.5. But he is definitely vocal like a Maine Coon. Originally, we were going to call him Cinder. But after we got to know him and how much he likes to scream at us, he is now called Screech. He is also known as Little One, or little Poop. I'm not going to say what I really say, but he's a little Poop. He is still very much got the kitten personality. He is rambunctious. He gets into things. He's very curious. And it's funny because I'll see him, he's trying to get into a cabinet and he does pull-ups to try and open the door, and sometimes he manages to open the door and get inside our cabinets, which means we end up rewashing all the dishes, which is always fun. But that is him. And then our final kitty cat is actually our oldest kitty cat, but we have had her the least amount of time. She is a kitty cat that originally belonged to my grandma, and my grandma passed away, I think about, oh gosh, several years ago. And originally she went to my uncle. She started kind of clawing up the furniture, and my uncle didn't want any of that, so she ended up going to my aunt, where she lived with my aunt's kitty cats and my aunt for a long time. But then my aunt downsized, and she had too many animals for downsizing, so she ended up giving her to my niece, who had just lost her cat, but giving her to my niece, who had her for a little bit. My niece then ended up moving into a home where she could not have a cat, and I had always said, you know, never ever ever take this cat to the pound. She is my kitty. If you end up not being able to keep her, give her to me, she'll be my kitty. I was just going to foster her, but we have all accepted now that Stella and I have bonded, and she is not going back to my niece. She's not going back to my niece. So she is now my kitty cat. I absolutely adore her. She is our snuggler. She's our low-key person. She's also a grumpy old lady. She wants nothing to do with any of the other cats. She absolutely cannot stand the youngest of our kitties, Mr. Screech. She cannot stand him at all. But she tolerates Ipit the most, and then the dogs scare her a little bit. But yeah, so that's our animals that we have in the house. We've had more animals in the past, but that's what we currently have in our little home. Number 5. I love all things geeky. Yes, sci-fi, fantasy, hero stuff. I am a geek at heart. I didn't grow up playing role-playing games like D&D, but I did in my early 20s and late teens start playing them, and I really, really enjoyed them, which probably led to me playing MMOs as a little bit old, as I got a little bit older on the computer. I didn't start with EverQuest, but I did start, not the original, but I did start with EverQuest 2. So I played EverQuest 2. I played for a very long time. I played Rift for a very long time. I've also played ESO. Sometimes I still go back to that. Star Wars, the Old Republic, and yeah, so those, it's, anyway, all things geeky. I love gaming as well, which I'll talk about that more in a little bit. That's actually going to be number 9. I've jumped ahead of myself, but I love all things geeky. Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel MCU, the Marvel Universe, fantasy books, epic fantasy books, Lord of the Rings, you know, all that stuff. I really love it. It's my thing, and I could really go off on some things and talk to you about them. So I do love all that stuff. So that was number 5. Number 6, I love binge watching shows, and some of which I watch over and over and over again. I even go to sleep to some shows. The shows that I go to sleep to are Supernatural, Criminal Minds, Grimm, Medium. I think that's mainly it. So those 4 are the ones that I go to sleep to every night because I've seen them so many times. Oh, Stargate is another series. SG-1 and SG Atlantis. So those are the series that I will go to sleep to because I've seen them so many times that they don't fully engage me when I am falling asleep, because I already know everything that's going on. So it doesn't pull me out of my sleep. I can get lulled to sleep by it. But I do binge watch a ton of other stuff. The latest thing that I binge watched was Daredevil, and just before that I binge watched Once Upon a Time, which is the second run through that I did for Once Upon a Time. I think the second full run through. But yeah, I just finished binge watching Daredevil. I'm working on Jessica Jones right now. If you guys have any suggestions on something I should binge watch, let me know down below in the comments. I would love to hear what you have to say. I would love to. And even in my binge watching, I'll binge watch movies. So I'll go through all the Harry Potters, or I'll go through the whole MCU timeline. You know, yeah. I go back to number 5 where I said I love all things geeky. So yeah. Number 7. So this goes back to the geeky things, but I think it belongs in its own little number. I love The Wheel of Time. This is a book series, an epic book series, 14 books total, 13 in the main series and then 1 prequel. But it is an epic book series that I have been obsessed with for years, decades even. I was introduced to it in my early 20s. And I'm still obsessed with it. So I love it. They just recently started making, and if you ever look up the Wheel of Time series, most people who get into it are obsessed with it. I'm telling you, it's a huge fandom. It's kind of crazy. But and it is fantasy. It is considered fantasy. It's basically, well, I can't give away too much, but you just have to read and find out. But it's an amazing series by the late author Robert Jordan. He started the series, and then unfortunately he did pass away before it finished, but his widow did make arrangements to have it finished with his notes by Brandon Sanderson, who is also an amazing author in his own right, and he has a series of books and worlds that he's written in that are really quite amazing. So, but now it is now a television show on Amazon Prime. So I'm obsessed with that. This first season, maybe not the best representation, especially that final episode, but it was still a pretty good representation. I enjoyed it. I love seeing my favorite characters come to life. And yes, these characters are characters that you fall in love with, totally fall in love with. I think even more so than the Harry Potter series. And I love the Harry Potter series, you guys. Number 8, I Am a Widow. My husband passed away in August of 2021. And in fact, I came back after that to Alive, and I was quite emotional in it. So if you ever want to check that, I'll link that out up above. But I was quite emotional when I came back just after he passed away, because I was already doing YouTube. It was an accident and unexpected. So my daughter and I have been dealing with that for a little bit here. It does get easier, of course, as those who've been through grief know. It does get a little bit easier. I still break down every once in a while. But I don't do it nearly as much as I was, and it's less and less as the year goes on. For his death anniversary this coming August, my daughter and I plan on going on a cruise for a 7-day cruise with just the 2 of us. It's something that we have never done before, but it's a way for us to kind of get away and not kind of sit in our own grief. And instead kind of just enjoy each other and make new memories with each other, doing something a little bit different than what we would have done with her daddy. Don't get me wrong, we have been honoring her father, especially in his birthday this past March. But I felt like this is a way for us to kind of break away from that, to start the new year. So anyway, that was a couple of things all in one there. You guys, this can be a long video because I just get chatty. You know me. Well, those of you that have been here before, you know me. I'm already like 20 minutes into it. So, but it's 23 things, so it's gonna get long. All right, so number 9, and this I briefly touched on earlier when I talked about being geeky or fantasy or anyway. Number 9, I love gaming, mainly PC games. And the PC games, some of my favorite games are the Diablo series. I've played all of them. Of course, all the MMOs that I mentioned earlier. Right now, we just recently bought Elden Ring, so I just bought a controller because I was told that we needed a controller like this to plug into the computer. So I just bought a controller to be able to play that a little bit more effectively. The Sims series. I love The Sims. I have not all of the expansions, but I have all of the main game series. And then Civilization is another one that I absolutely adore. So mainly PC games. Now I do really enjoy the Switch recently as well, but pretty much I'm playing games that I have played on the PC on my Switch, so I can just take them with me. So like Civilization and Diablo are both on the Switch, and I enjoy playing that on the Switch because it's more mobile. So that was at number 9. And number 10, I am not the best cleaner. In fact, I kind of suck at it. I'm just going to be honest with you. I kind of suck at it. And what I mean by cleaning is I don't get out on the baseboards. I don't scrub. I'm not the best mopper. I don't sweep. I don't see dust bunnies. I'm not the best cleaner. My husband was great at that. This is where we made a great team. However, I am a crazy organizer. I can go in and organize a refrigerator, a pantry. You know, I keep things in. I find places for everything, and I keep things in their place. My husband was not an organizer. He was a stacker. So that's what I'm saying. This is where we played well together. I also love to do things like, because it satisfies my organizing need, but things like folding laundry and stuff like that. I used to label all my movies. When I had DVDs, I used to have my name in there and have them all labeled in alphabetical order. So yes, that was me. I was that girl. So that's one thing. You guys may, if you've watched me long enough on my lives, you may know all this about me already. Number 11. I prefer Apple over Android. I have all the Apple products. Watch, phone, PC. So I am an Apple girl through and through. I love the way they communicate with each other. I like editing on iMovie. Eventually, I may upgrade to something else, but iMovie works really well for me. It is a much better product than the editing software that came with automatically with Windows. So I really enjoy iMovie. So yeah, that's it. And not much more to say about that. You are one or the other usually, right? Number 12. I love soup. I eat soup for lunch every day. It's a can of Campbell's usually. Usually it is the some sort of chicken noodle. I eat a lot less of the straight chicken noodle, regular chicken noodle anymore. I usually eat like chicken and rice or this other home style. It's home style chicken noodle, and or like chicken and noodle-os or chicken and stars. So it's all chicken. I used to eat the Campbell's minestrone all the time, but they no longer have that, and that makes me very upset because I loved it. Speaking of minestrone, when I go eat and get endless soup and salad at Olive Garden, it's minestrone there. So good. Love it so much. Number 13. I play the Uno mobile game on my phone every night while I'm binge watching. I do. I play it every night. Keep on playing it. There's other games that I play every night, but the Uno is the one that usually takes me through. I started that at like 8, and I play that until about 2 a.m. I've even spent money on it to get coins, that kind of thing. I love that the Uno game. And if we were in person and you enjoyed Uno, I would play Uno in person for that long. I enjoyed the Uno game. Number 14. I'm doing this and it's 9, and I did that before it was 8. Anyway, number 14. So 14. My favorite non-Yarny channels at this time currently are The Dusty Wheel, Nerdy Nightly, and those both have to do with the Wheel of Time, by the way. Nerdy Nightly, and the non-Wheel of Time related one is Catherine Manning. I just enjoy watching Catherine Manning. She's got a very great personality. I enjoy watching her stuff. She used to have like tips and tricks for YouTubers, but she's moved away from that a little bit and is a little bit more vloggy, but I really do enjoy her content. Number 15, my favorite color is purple. That's my favorite color, purple. So not much more to say about that. Doesn't mean I don't love other colors, but my favorite color is purple, a nice rich purple. Number 16. We're going to take it all the way back to high school. When I was in high school, I was on the swim team. I was the worst on the swim team. At first, I was like the second or third worst, but then those two that were not as bad, that were worse than me, they ended up quitting. I didn't. I stuck with it the full year, because if it was my senior year was the first year that they brought on the swim team. But yeah, so I was on the swim team, and then I was also in the flag corps. That was all 4 years. I was in the flag corps, and in my last 2 years, my last year I was a co-captain with one other girl. So but I was in the flag corps in high school, as well as the swim team. I was also in the drama club. And I also did plays and stuff like that. I was pretty active in high school. Number 17. Speaking of high school, I grew up in a small town in Florida that when I moved out, it just hit 10,000 people, or 10,000 population. I think it's actually gotten less since then, because there's a few major industries that are no longer there. But it was a little town on the Gulf Coast of Florida, and a little bit north of Tampa. And so, yep, that's where I lived. That's where I grew up. I was not born there, but I grew up there. We moved there just before I started kindergarten. So my sister did 1 or 2 years outside of the city, the little town. But I did my whole education was in this town. Number 18. Speaking of locations, my late husband and we were born in the same city 1 year apart, but we didn't meet each other until our late 20s. And that was in a totally different city. Yes. So, my husband and I were born in the same city 1 year apart. So I always thought that was fascinating. Number 19 I talked about with number 17, but number 19 is the town that I grew up in was so small that it just hit 10K when I left, and I think it's below 10K now. I did move out, and I went to some bigger cities, and I really enjoyed that. But I really I think as you get older, you really love the appeal of smaller towns. And I moved back to a small town here, which has even less. I think we're at about somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 people here. But it's growing too. With the pandemic, a lot of people are moving to the smaller towns. And of course, we get very busy in the summers, because that's when we get a lot of tourists. That's our tourist season here in the mountains. That, like the fall through the what's really the spring through the fall, because people love to see the color changes. Alright, so number 20. I am almost done. And oh look, there's Stella. Stella. Oh, don't yell at me. I told you she was grumpy. Look at her. She's not mad. She's mad at me right now. You want to say hi to everybody, Stella? Hi. Alright, anyway, so number 20, we're almost done. I only wear tennis shoes. I wear no other type of shoes. It has to do with some nerve issues that she's not happy with me right now. It has to do with some nerve issues that I have in my feet. But yep, I only wear tennis shoes. Speaking of feet, number 21. I am flat-footed. I have been my whole life. My grandmother used to be able to find me in the dressing room, because you had the clear space underneath where you can see the feet. She'd find me in the dressing room because I was the only one there with these super flat feet. I have always been flat-footed. Alright, number 22. I have Sunday dinner almost every Sunday night with my mom, or have almost every week. That's what I'm going to say. Almost every week with my mom. And of course my sister, she's moving to the area, so which is wonderful. But it's almost every week. Of course we miss some for one reason or another, but yeah, I have Sunday dinner with my mom. And then finally, some of y'all may already know this, especially if you watched other things by me, but I live in what's officially called a tiny house. I live in 450 square feet. And yes, you heard that right, with all of our animals. I live in 450 square feet. We've got a jam-packed tight, I promise you. It was very appealing to begin with. It was nice to have a smaller house, not to worry about the bigger house. I have decided I do not like it. I like a little bit bigger space. Not too big. You know, somewhere between like 1,000 to 1,500 square feet, no bigger than that, and 1,500 might even be pushing it. But yeah, I'm not liking this little itty bitty space, so we will probably be moving to a different place in the same city or close to it here in the next 1 to 2 years. So that is it. That is all 23 things about non-Yarny things about me. What did you guys think? Tell me about yourself down below. I would love to hear. Let me know about you. I want to know. And if you got this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys are so amazing. If you like this kind of content and reviews and hauls and stuff like that, then don't forget to go down below. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet. Then go ahead and hit the subscribe, hit the bell, so you're reminded each time I come out with a brand new video, and hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Again, you guys have an amazing day. Bye bye.